you, Carrie.
Well, we'll open that one for a minute. You good with that chair again? I mean, you want to switch it out? All right, guys, we're in the booth. Just have no picture on the TV.
Yeah, that's because
Awesome. Why is it got to be black, Clark? I like the white noise. There we go. Who's all listening, by the way? Just you or anybody else? Good. Well, I just want to say, before anybody else, thank you guys so much. Honestly, really great job this weekend. Everything looks really cool and excited, man. I like how you make me sound good. That's good. Yeah, well, his seat is not a plush chair, probably. That's why.
Jeremy is good. Where are we at? That's GT. GTS. No. Van Moltke, yeah, I think so. Yeah, close enough. Yeah, I think so. Why? You see
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Circuit of the Americas. And I'll tell you, there is an energy here. A very big day on tap here at Circuit of the Americas, the final day activity of the Nissan Grand Prix of Texas, brought to you by Motul. I'm Greg Kramer along with Jeff Lepper. And Jeff, we had to get an early start on things today. It's such a busy day. Already working on some tech, getting the cars pre-tech, because we've got final rounds for everything that's running here this weekend, and that's a lot. We've got the final round of the Touring Car, Touring Car A, Touring Car B, the third round essentially of that race, second rounds of GTS, second rounds of GT, GTA, and the new GT Cup presented by Momo. Hugely busy day of activity unfolding here, and it comes on the heels of what was an incredible day yesterday.
Yeah, the action we saw racing yesterday amongst all 7 classes we had was nose to tail. It was fearsome, of the best passing and best racing, and truly what makes Pirreli World Challenge.
It was spectacular. Of course, opening round of this 2015 and 26th anniversary season, and the numbers are immense. I mean, we've got, 116 entries showed up here. The racing has been fantastic, and we expect even better today, but let's talk about that. The overall in the GT category, the battle throughout the race between when Ryan Dial got to the front, and then a guy named Olivier Beretta, got some skills. Sitting there in second for the whole race, studying, Jeff, the move he put coming up to the white flag was stunning.
Yeah, I'm going to say pass of the 26th anniversary of Pirreli World Challenge. I don't think we've seen a pass like that he made on Ryan Dial going down into turn number 20. Ryan wasn't expecting him to be there, but Olivier Beretta made that move happen. I don't think anybody else could have done that.
No, and absolutely some spectacular racing in the GTA category. Michael Lewis, young man, coming through having a good one. And in the new GT Cup, just a superb run there by Colin Thompson making the move. Good stuff. GTS, I'll tell you, Chris Wilson, a few days ago, didn't even think he was going to be here. Max Riddle wasn't feeling well. Wilson comes home with a huge win.
Yeah, he sure did. He walked away from the field once he got around Dean Martin. Had some handling issues, but it was those 2 Mustangs of Aquilante and Martin, second and third in GTS.
And then, of course, in the touring car ranks, some spectacular. Everybody who won in touring cars swept both of the rounds yesterday. That was impressive enough. But I think we need to focus on a drive by Adam Poland from dead last behind everybody to second overall. Jim.
Yeah, the drive of his career, definitely the drive, the best drive we've seen in touring car. But congratulations to Cody Ellsworth. We had Johan Swartz in our TCB category, and Tony Rivera getting that double race win in that Scion FRS.
It was spectacular stuff. Now, back to the GT category. The Cadillacs, brand new program, GT3 cars, not the old legacy GT CTSVs. They had the ATS VR. How were they going to do? Qualified a little bit further back in the top 10. The race started, one amazing launch. Doesn't matter what they're running, they get the launch. And then Johnny O'Connell brings it home in third, first ever start. What's that car all about? What's the nature of this new beast from the folks at Cadillac Racing? Well, we asked Jim Verpelot. Tell us a little bit about the new program.
What you see behind me is a lot of hard work in the off-season. You know, you win 3 championships in a row. What do? Build an all-new race car. And, you know, switching from the CTSV now to the ATSV Coupe, all-new vehicle, a 3.6-liter twin-turbo V6 instead of that big V8. And now the big news, it's an FI GT3 car. So excited beyond belief to get ready to start the season. What we're excited about with this car is the GT3 format because it gives us the ability to compete against some of the great GT3 cars around the world, but it gives us the opportunity as a brand to grow our racing footprint. And, you know, for 15, we're committed to Pirreli World Challenge. We're committed to this race series because we've watched the growth, but this gives us an opportunity to maybe take this Cadillac overseas and take it into the Middle East or take it into Asia. And that's what's so exciting. And I think that's what the great thing is about the GT3 format is you can take it anywhere around the world. You know, and again, coming back for 2015 season will be our 2 drivers, Johnny O'Connell, the defending champion here in the World Challenge, and Andy Pilgrim. You know, and those guys are such great professionals and great ambassadors for our brand, but also we also know they're going to work on the development of this car. They bring it home in one piece as we get ramped up for the season. But yeah, we couldn't ask for a better place to be to start the season at Circuit of the Americas.
First race out, it's already a success. When you podium, you're successful with a brand new program. And, you know, people are going to say, well, it doesn't sound like the old Cadillac. No, it sounds different. Doesn't mean worse. It's an amazing sound out of that car, and clearly the performance.
Actually, the performance is great, and you got a guy behind the wheel like Johnny O'Connell. You can expect those results no matter what kind of car he's in.
Yeah, he's going to be up on the wheel, no question. We got a lot more for you here in our pre-race show for this final day of activity from the Nissan Grand Prix of Texas here at Circuit of the Americas, presented by Motul. Stay with us. Today's coverage of the Pirreli World Challenge Championships is being brought to you by Nissan. Innovation that excites. By Motul, official lubricants of the Pirreli World Challenge. And by the Kia Optima, not your average midsize sedan.
Credit belongs to the man who strives valiantly, who errs, who spends himself in a worthy cause, and who, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly.
Now's the time, no delay. Gotta get going now, there's no more time to waste. More speed, little less haste. 100 miles I'm running, never touch the brakes. See that counting, we can't let them wait. Never late, cause it's time, Wanna move quick, gotta move faster. Wanna speed up, gotta move faster. Time is time, it has no master.
Welcome back, everybody, as we continue with our pre-race activities here for this final day of activity at the Nissan Grand Prix of Texas, presented by Motul, joined by Jeremy Shaw. Once again, I'm going to be going into the CBS Sports Network booth, of course, for the GT and GTS races, and Jeremy will be working with Jeff on the call of those races on the live web stream. And the racing we saw yesterday, we've talked about it a little bit, pretty spectacular stuff. And, you know, one of the big stories was that Aston Martin certainly looks like it really is suited to this track. It's low CG, good power, transitions well, and Chris Wilson wheeled it.
He did a fantastic job yesterday. I mean, he called in at last minute, but he does have a lot of experience in that car. He's been driving that very same car in the Continental Series, so he knows how it works. But very different setup here, much more aerodynamics on the car, completely different tyres, and he said it really is like a completely different car. But his experience showed through today. He managed that race really, really well and came away with a very well-deserved victory.
And I think one of the big stories coming out of GTS, guys, is the fact that a number of the people that you're looking at, I'm looking at, as being championship contenders come the end of the season, had abysmal starts. You know, Jack Baldwin, he pulled off. Andy Lee, big problems. I mean, a number of them had some serious issues.
They did, and you just don't want that. That's not the way you want to start the season, is it? And also bad news for those guys. But the good news is they do have another race today, and they can try and pull themselves out of the mire and just get some more points on the board. Luckily for Jack Baldwin, he did at least manage 50% of the distance, so did get some championship points. So it could have been worse.
Oh, it could have been far worse, without a doubt. And I think, a guy that we need to talk about, Jeff, a little bit is Dean Martin, because he was really good in qualifying. And those Mustangs, everybody's going, well, how are they going to work? They got that solid rear axle. Are the tires going to stay there? Dean showed that those cars were brilliant.
Absolutely. Those are at the top of their development. We've had this chassis Ford Mustang for a lot of years now. We're expecting that new car near the end of the year. Dean Martin said they were really expecting the weather to stay cloudy today. When that sun came out, he knew he didn't have a chance today.
Yeah, I mean, it can be just that sensitive, no question. Let's talk a little bit, Jeremy, about GT. We've already alluded to that great pass that Olivier put on for the win, essentially, with a lap and a corner to go. I mean, it was some brilliant stuff. But even behind that, I think one of the performances was Nicky Katzberg in that Lamborghini. Had he not made that little default and gone over the white line up there, fast lap, he was checking out.
He absolutely was. Put it on the pole as well. I mean, that Ryder Engineering Lamborghini, the block pen coloured car, is really fast, and he drove it absolutely beautifully. But, there's a whole bunch of storylines, aren't there, in GT, top all the way through the field. And that's what makes this class so good. With 13 different manufacturers there, there's all sorts of battles going on and all sorts of surprises in store. And I know it's going to be the same today, particularly as the weather later on doesn't look terribly good, so they might be racing in the rain as well. That's going to put a whole nother cat amongst the pigeons.
I think so, and that cat might well be a real-time Acura with all-wheel drive. And the issues they had yesterday were basically contact issues. It wasn't breakages or anything. They were involved in contact. If it's clean for them and it's wet for them, boy, Eversley, P.D. Cunningham, could be fun.
Yeah, standing start, you drop the revs up, put that clutch and go, and you put it in gear and launch, and I'm waiting to see that. We'll see what the weather plays out. A little cloudy here this morning, but it's not supposed to get better.
Well, and then real quick, talking about the GT Cup presented by Momo, in that race, there was some concern about, would they end up being a little too slow? Would we have issues with some of the cars running up? The fact of the matter was, a lot of those guys, particularly the guys up front, Colin Thompson, Sloan Urie, and of course Alec Udell, found themselves in front of a lot of the GTA guys. They showed great pace.
Yeah, they really did, and a fine win there for Colin Thompson. He dominated that class yesterday. He was on the pole, won the race pulling away, but it was a great battle for second place, wasn't it? I'm sure we're going to see some more of that.
I would think so. And, of course, one thing they have to do is tame a very challenging Circuit of the Americas. And speaking of Porsches, well, that leads us right into our Porsche track preview. Again, with a guy who almost pulled off the win yesterday. He's going to be going for it big time today. Ryan Dial.
This is Ryan Dial, driver of the number 31 Effort Racing Porsche GT3R. And this is the Porsche track preview at Circuit of the Americas. Start-finish line coming up with a big tower. Going into turn 1. This is the second fastest straight on the track. We're going to get the Porsche up to the 100 brake marker. 5th gear down to 2nd. Really bumpy. Big crest here. So careful not to lose the car on entry. A little bit curb on the inside. Power hard in 2nd gear. Turn 2 is just about flat in the GT3R. We've got to get a really good exit. This is a long straightaway into the S's. Turn 3. 5th gear down to 4th. Now we're going to go through 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All constantly slowing down. Everyone gets a little bit slower. Careful to get on the inside curb here. A lot of grip on the curbs at Circuit of America. 3rd gear, we're going to be hard on the power. Doesn't look like it, but we're going pretty hard uphill here. Important to stay on this curb. Lots of grip through turn 9. Full power through turn 9. We're going to through head through turn 8, which is the kink. Flat, easy flat. We're going to go down into 11, A and B. Hard on the brake at the 150 marker. Down to 2nd gear. Really important. Longest straight on the track coming up. Hard on the power 2nd gear. Really important for lap time. This is the only time we're going to see 6th gear here at Circuit of the Americas. Porsche GT3R, great top speed, one of our best opportunities to pass. We're going to be down into here. Hard brake zone. Hardest brake zone we have, really late on the brakes. The 100 marker, as you can see, easy to pass into here. Second gear, downhill, a lot of curb on the inside. You've got to be careful with the curbs on the inside here. You can't use any more than the red or white. The big orange curbs we cannot touch. Second gear all the way through here. Very tricky power down. Up to third, back down to second. Now we're going to go through the triple right. Pretty famous corner here at COTA. Really tough to get right. You can see when traffic's in front of you, it's all about navigating through the slower cars. Hard on the power. We're going to be fourth gear up to fifth gear through here. 2 corners to go, downshift to third. Really tough corner. If you go 4 wheels off on the exit, it is a penalty, so you have to stay on track. Last corner, second gear, a little bit of curb, concentrate on your exit. Now you get the long drag up the hill into turn 1. Another great place to pass.
Well, I'll tell you, he came so...
All right, and welcome here to our coverage from WorldChallengeTV.com. The Nissan Grand Prix of Texas, brought to you by Motul at Circuit of the Americas, and what a great onboard lap that was from Ryan Dial. Really gives you perspective about coming around this track for that Porsche hot lap.
Yeah, it is. It's very, very wet out there. Completely different conditions to yesterday, so this is going to be a real challenge for the drivers. The good news is they did have a brief warm-up session this morning, so some of them were able to get a good feel for these track conditions. Some of the other guys, though, were just working through some problems that they had yesterday.
Yeah, it was a little cloudy this morning. We did that pre-show, and now it's raining, so those clouds did come. There's that Cadillac ATS-V pace car that's going into production in B4 sale to the Consumer Republic. A great shot of the pace car leading this GTS field. Let's take a quick look at your top 10 in the grid. It was your race winner yesterday in that Racers Group Aston Martin Vantage GT4, Chris Wilson, getting the win. Andrew Aquilante finished second place yesterday. He qualifies second as well based on the fastest race lap from yesterday. Dean Martin in third. Kurt Rezatano will qualified fourth, and Andy Lee qualifying fifth. Unfortunately, due to the weather conditions, we will be doing a rolling start here today, not the traditional standing start.
Absolutely right, and I think that's probably a smart safety move, primarily because of the fact that on the front straightaway, all the sort of race rubber has been laid out on the outside of the racetrack, so it would be really tricky if you had to do a standing start from that part of the racetrack. So I think this is probably the fairer way around it.
Well, 19 cars set to take the grid. Vesco Kozarov not able to do this, as Chris Wilson will look for that VP Racing Fuels acceleration zone cone. That's where the pole sitter can determine when he wants to start. We'll wait for that green flag. You see that cone right off to the right there. So he anywhere there, and he does accelerate. Green flag. We're underway with round number 2 of our GTS class.
Side by side up the hill towards turn 1. They're going to make sure they don't cross that white line on the pit lane exit, but a good start there by both front row qualifiers, side by side through turn 1. Really smart driving by both of those two, but it looks like it's going to be Andrew Aquilante who has the advantage going into turn 2.
Yeah, he's getting a little tiny there. Chris Wilson wants to hold it there on the inside of turn number 3. That's going to give him the advantage. Hard braking zone here, and Aquilante way wide going through the paint. That's going to be a huge advantage for him. He stays out wide to give that spot back over to Chris Wilson.
Chris Wilson this morning, he told me after the warm-up, he said the car was all over the place. It was a real handful in the wet conditions. First time he's ever driven it in the wet on these Pirreli tires, and he was really struggling, but it was a great move there. He got himself alongside going into turn 3, and Andrew Aquilante had to take the long way around onto the runoff area.
There's Michael Cooper in that Black Dog Speed Shop Chevy Camaro Z28. We saw him in the warm-up here this morning. He was the fastest in that session. Loves the rain. Said the first time he ever was in a race car was in the rain. He's trying to put the move on Rezatano. Boy, Michael Cooper all over the track using all the lines. Aquilante down to the inside trying to make a move over Chris Wilson.
Smart driving by those two at the front of the field. They're pushing each other as hard as they can, but giving each other plenty of room as well. But Michael Cooper, what a brilliant start from 9th on the grid into 4th already on the first lap.
Yeah, drag race down this backstretch. The Mustang, the Calvert Dynamics Phoenix Performance Ford Mustang Boss 302 of Andrew Aquilante into the braking zone. The more nimble Aston Martin's going to have the inside line down into turn number 12. Cooper on the inside of Rezatano.
Really smart driving by these two at the front. I'm really, really impressed. I mean, it's very, very slippery out there. We can see the cars moving around an awful lot, but they're giving themselves really just a sensible amount of racing room. So, you know, they're allowing for the other guy to get sideways coming out of the corners. Very smart driving.
Yeah, Michael Cooper on a tear, though. He's the guy to watch back there in fourth, battling with Dean Martin. He's looking left, he's looking right, back on there, just trying to find some grip somewhere to get around Dean Martin. Dean Martin making that Mustang as wide as possible. An outside pass through the turn fit. What? On the paint, you got to be careful there, but without where I'd want to make a pass. But he does it, sticks to the outside. He'll have the inside line down and makes the pass for third. Michael Cooper on a tear.
That was seriously impressive. Right around the outside of 16, 17, 18, that long triple apex right-hander. Fantastic move by Michael Cooper. Talking to him just before the start, he was beaming from ear to ear. He's from the northeast. He's done a little bit of racing in the rain. I asked him how much, and he had to think about it. He said, well, I've done quite a bit in MX-5. He said, I guess I haven't done much more than that, but he loves these conditions, and it showed this morning. It showed already in the early stages of this race.
A couple of those cars right there you see in the frame, those Kia Motors America, Kia Optimas, led by Mark Wilkins, and then Ben Klukas right behind him. Oh, sorry, Klukas leading over Mark Wilkins. Those are a 2-liter turbocharged front-wheel drive car. You got to think, Jeremy, that those cars might have an advantage in this weather.
Yeah, but they were also struggling in the warm-up this morning as well. The cars were all over the place, but yeah, they made good progress in the early stage of this race. Both of them seem to be running pretty much together there, or sixth and 7th now they are now, because Ben Klukas has found a way past Andy Lee.
Michael Cooper just made an outside pass through turn number 6 to get around Andrew Aquilante. Goes back to the inside. He's going to see if that'll work for him again over Chris Wilson. Got to be sketchy stuff here. You got to be very, very careful coming down out of turn number 8, down into 9. Out of 10 into the hard braking zone of 11 to shoot down this backstretch. The big motor, that Camaro Z28. Chris Wilson defends a little bit. Cooper going back to the outside. Going to try to go outside of turn number 11. Can he make it stick over Chris Wilson?
Well, that Camaro Z28 is a huge car compared to the Aston Martin, but what a brilliant drive this is by Michael Cooper. You wouldn't think this is just his second weekend in the car. He drove it at the end of last season, but other than that, this is the only time he's driven the car. It's a lot of changes over the winter, and as we can see there, the big frontal area on the Chevy Camaro Z28 is not so good on the straightaway. He's blown off there both by the Aston Martin and the Ford Mustang, but in the braking area, wow, that Chevy is right there.
Yeah, going on the outside of turn 12, you can really see the motor differences in the power. That Camaro Z28, very restricted, nearly stock out of that 7-liter motor, but that Aston Martin and Mustang just power down him past the straightaway. Cooper, still tank slapper on the right side, keeps his foot in it, goes back around Andrew Aquilante.
This is tremendously entertaining. Great scrap at the front. We've got 5 cars absolutely nose to tail. That's Chris Wilson, Michael Cooper, Andrew Aquilante, Dean Martin, and Kurt Rezzitano, who's hanging on there. The youngster who's a shop boy a couple of years ago, well, last year really, still is a shop boy for the Phoenix American team. And there again, round the outside goes Michael Cooper to take the lead from Chris Wilson.
Yeah, Michael Cooper, new leader in GTS in that Black Dog Speed Shop Team Chevy Camaro. How about that for Cooper on the outside pass at turn number 19, down into turn number 20. A lot of specialty awards for some of the great partners. The Invisible Clean Pass of the Race Award, the Optima Battery Best Start Award. We have the VP Racing Fuels Hard Charger Award. He went from 9th up to 1st. I think he's going to win everything here.
He's a lock.
The Cadillac Best Move of the Race Award. And there's the gear tie car, the Capaldi Racing Ford Mustang of Dan Martinson. Looks like there's some damage to the right front possibly there coming down pit lane. And with a lot of blend line violations and maybe some over driving of the track, so that could be a drive-through penalty as well for Dan Martinson.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy to run off course here. We saw on that very first lap, we saw Andrew Aquilante run all 4 wheels off the racing surface, but he gave up the position again, so there was no advantage gained on that occasion by Andrew Aquilante. That is why no penalty was called for that. But look at this now, through the S's, Michael Cooper has just upped and gone at the front of the field.
Yeah, he's running about 2 seconds a lap quicker than Chris Wilson that lap before, and that was when in traffic before he made that pass. So he's going to be on a tear here. Just keep it all together, son. You got this going on so far. Still a long way to go, however. 43 minutes still remaining in this race, a 50-minute sprint race. Jack Baldwin back in 14th place. You see a good shot of him here in that Reset MD Porsche Cayman. Had some problems in the race yesterday with transmission, and that was all multiplied by a fuel issue problem for Jack Baldwin. Not sure if that car's been recovered yet, back in 14th place.
Yeah, and that was a lot of work there. Nick Hassan also had some problems yesterday, primarily with the brakes, but they've hopefully got that sorted a little bit better, that number 34 car for Nick Hassan, the winner of the final race last year. So looking to come back on strong at the beginning of 2015, but certainly struggled yesterday.
Okay, interesting stat you mentioned about Michael Cooper's car. That was actually Tony Gable's car from last year, the same chassis. So got the newer bodywork on it, the Z28 components, the 7-liter motor, but essentially it's a year-old car.
It is, and carbon ceramic brakes on that car as well, so different to what most of the other guys are running in this field. And Michael was telling me before the start of the race, it's difficult to get to heat into those brakes before the start of the race. Clearly he had no problem this afternoon or this morning though.
Yeah, not at all. There's a great shot of Dean Martin in that picture cars east, Rehegan Racing, a Ford Mustang Boss 302, doing a great job there back in fourth. Set this car up for kind of a cloudy day yesterday, led for a little bit, but then started falling back. He said once he saw that sun, he knew that he was in trouble with the setup because they kind of hoping it was going to be a little bit cooler. Here, you set up for the rain. What are some of the changes these guys do on the cars to set up for the rain?
Well, just soften up the cars a little bit and make the suspension a little bit more compliant, so there's a bit more roll in the car so they can transfer the weight more easily across the car. That'll help it to get some grip onto those Pirreli P0 tires. Right now, though, it's really down to the drivers, the feel of the drivers, and Michael Cooper clearly has that feel in that number 10 Black Dog Speed Shop Chevrolet.
Dean Martin turned his wheel down to the side. He's going to get pinched off on the exit of turn number 1, trying to make that pass on Andrew Aquilante. The key there was, did Dean Martin get the pass done before the finish line? He might just put that back in the back of his mind and say, you know what, if I stay here for the duration of the race, might I be able to get around him right on the last lap? Jack Roush Jr. in the Roush Performance Ford Mustang getting around Mark Wilkins in number 38 Kia Motors America Kia Optima. Made a great pass on the inside there down into turn number 3 and 4.
We talked about Michael Cooper moving up brilliantly into the lead of the race. His teammate, Tony Gaples, has also done a nice job because he started way back in 16th. And Tony has got himself up inside the top 10 as well, just past Andy Lee. We had all sorts of problems yesterday. They changed the motor overnight in that number 20 car, and in the morning warm-up this morning, Andy Lee was struggling with a misfire in that car.
Yeah, pass for third here as Aguilante comes down to the middle of Wilson, trying to make that pass into turn number 11. Going to be a drag race down the straightaway. Not sure who Dean Martin's going to choose here. Is he going to go down into behind Chris Wilson or behind his teammate Mustang there, but the battle for second on in GTS.
Yeah, I think you try and follow the Mustang if he can, because the Mustang is the quicker, it's faster than the Aston Martin on the straightaway. There goes Aquilante, but Dean Martin not able to tuck into the draft of the other Mustang. Now though, he looks to the inside and the braking area for turn 12. Sort of kind of close enough, side by side out of the corner.
Yeah, saw these three drivers that are on your screen in the press conference yesterday doing the post-race interviews, and they said, well, you know, today was a good day, tomorrow's race day. All gloves are off tomorrow. Yeah. So that was today. We'll see what happens now.
There's another guy on the move there is Jack Roush Jr. He's moving up through the order. He's just got his way past one of the Kias. I think that's Ben Klukas' car. But this big train of cars, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, and in 10th place, Tony Gaples trying to hang on as well.
Yeah, Derek DeBoer having a great run as well. Back there in 9th place. He started up a little bit right there in 7th. Lost a couple places, but still hanging on tough.
Yeah, and again, he's another guy. He's from the northwest up in the Oregon area, and he was excited to see the rain this morning. I spoke to him just before the start, and he's really pumped up, ready to go in that Aston Martin V8 Vantage.
Yeah, got it way sideways right there on the first lap on the exit turn number 12, but now Chris Wilson is under attack from Ben Klukas and Dean Martin. Can those two guys split the drivers as Chris Wilson falling into the clutches of 3rd, 4th, and 5th place?
3 abreast across the start-finish line here. And we've got Andrew Aquilante making a break in 2nd place, and now down the inside comes the number 36 car, and it absolutely sandwiches Chris Wilson, who loses maybe 2 places and maybe gains the 2 back again on the exit. No, it is Dean Martin who emerges from turn 1 in 2nd place, with Mark Wilkins right behind him, Chris Wilson there, and Jack Roush Jr. closing in as well.
Yeah, trying to make a pass on Chris Wilson. Dean Martin up to 3rd, Ben Klukas 4th, Chris Wilson back to 5th, Jack Roush 6th, and then Reza Tano was up there in 4th or so. He's dropped all the way back to 7th now.
Yeah, he has. He slipped back on that last lap, didn't he, having been putting the pressure on some of these other guys. But these experience here in these sort of conditions are really key. The track, it's pretty slippery out there, but it does drain fairly well. There's no real rivers or standing water. It's not raining very hard right now at the moment. It's just sort of kind of a fine drizzle. So conditions could be a lot worse, but certainly the track is very, very slippery, and it's the feel of the drivers just, you know, get feeling where the grip is on the racetrack. and putting your car there and taking as much advantage of it as you can.
Gotten word from pit lane that Dan Martinson did have a tire down, that the Capaldi Racing team got that tire changed, and also was down there talking to the Black Dog Speed Shop crew, Ray Hampton down there, and he said that they gave Michael Cooper the split time. He said no more information needed. So right front down on Dan Martinson's car. But, boy, Cooper must just be in the zone and on a rail when they tell you what the split time is. He's got about an 8.7-second gap over second place Andrew Aquilante. And just to tell the crew, the old Kimi Räikkönen style, leave me alone. I know what I'm doing.
I know what I'm doing, yeah, classic. He really is. I mean, boy, he's just leaving everybody at the rate of better than 2 seconds a lap, almost, well, it's 3 seconds a lap last time around. 2 minutes 33.8 for Michael Cooper. 2 minutes 36.9 for Andrew Aquilante. That was quite astonishing.
Yeah, good run from him. Dean Martin in third. Looks like Ben Klukas and Jack Rouse Jr. up to 6th place. So good run from him. See some cars still out there ill handling on this rain weather. Resitano under attack from Mark Wilkins, trying to make an outside pass back there. Mark Wilkins down to the inside, made the look, but did not complete the pass.
Yeah, we saw yesterday the two Kias were running in formation for the race. It was Mark Wilkins that was ahead for most of it, and then he was passed in the later stages by his new teammate Ben Klukas. The primary reason for that is because they had a right front shock absorber failure on that number 38 car. That was why Mark Wilkins slipped back yesterday, so they got a new shock on that car this morning. He told me before the start they were struggling in the wet this morning, but and he's certainly struggling a little bit now. He's fallen back a few positions while his teammate is moving forward.
And there's a good shot of your leader all alone. It's a lonely place to be, I guess, but it's a happy place to be when you're out there leading in that Black Dog Speed Shop Chevy Camaro. Michael Cooper, your 2011 touring car champion in the Mazda Speed Mazda 3 back in the day. So moving up from the touring car category, gets this GTS right here a little bit. Kind of came together last year. He got the development right in the new Z28. They brought it out at Miller Motorsports Park, that Black Dog Speed Shop did, just for the World Challenge officials can get a look at it, get some initial data on it. They can really work on the balance of performance here. As Andrew Aquilante, big sideways coming out of turn number 9, just sliding that Mustang all around. Now that he's out by himself, he did better down to a 235 flat, so doing a pretty good job in that Calvert Dynamics Phoenix Performance Mustang. Gotten word from pit lane once again, Andy Lee. Those engine woes are continuing in his best IT. Bob Ondra Chevy Camaro. Engine problem, says he feels a little bit low on power.
Yeah, that's so frustrating. What a disastrous beginning to the season for Andy Lee. Came in with such high expectations. Had some problems yesterday. He only completed 4 laps, and this morning he's down outside the top 10 already, and slipping down the order.
Yeah, doing a great job as he's, really getting to grips with that. So it's something that you're going to have to adjust to. The rain really changes a lot of guys. There's some great rain drivers. There's some guys that don't like it at all. There's some great dry drivers and some guys that I know that would prefer the rain. So it varies on your driving style and how you want to react. And there's a few guys at this track I've talked to, especially down in the touring car ranks, to some of their first pro races. It's a pretty intimidating place to be when you come here to make your initial debut in a professional road race series such as Pirreli World Challenge. Good best battle on the field right now is looks like it's Mark Wilkins versus Jack Roush. This is the battle for 8th right now with Mark Wilkins and Jack Roush Jr.
Yeah, something going strange with the scoring, to be perfectly honest. It seems to be switching around rather a lot, but at the front there's no doubt about who's leading. Michael Cooper pulling away 11 seconds now, his advantage over everybody else. His last 3 laps, that was his fastest lap on the race last time around, a 2 minutes 33.2. Andrew Aquilante actually only lost a couple of seconds on that lap, so he's pushing on hard now. Andrew Aquilante in 2nd place, pulled away from Dean Martin, and then this battle here for 4th place we're watching on the screens, with Ben Klukas holding on ahead of Jack Roush Jr.
Yeah, we watch Andrew Aquilante coming through there. He did pick up a lap time at a 2:34.434. However, Michael Cooper does a 2:33.258. So as fast as Andrew Aquilante is, Michael Cooper, his best lap on that 6th lap, 1.2 seconds faster than 2nd place. There's a good shot of Andy Lee's Bondurant Crown 7 Chevy Camaro.
Yeah.
Says his car feels a little low on horsepower, and it doesn't sound too good either.
No, he's picked up a little bit though. He's certainly closed in a little bit on this battle in front of him. That's Derek De Boer and Tony Gaples slithering around in front of him. And Andy Lee there trying to keep that car under control, coming through turns 9 and 10 and hanging on the back of that, what is now a 4-car train, and battling away for 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th places.
Yeah, we normally see that yellow Camaro up near the top. Oh, and Tony Gaples spins it right in front of Andy Lee. Just saw a glimpse of that as the Black Dog Speed Shop Camaro doing a good job backing it up, getting that car refired, and he'll get back underway, just doesn't want to stay in the racing line. There's Dan Martinson, had that flat tire a little bit earlier, and Jack Baldwin still banging around up into 13th place, more of a working on that, hopefully for that law of attrition is what Jack Baldwin's hoping for.
Yeah, really, he had big problems yesterday. First of all with the transmission, he lost third gear initially. Let's see another look at that spin by Tony Gaples. Just got on the power a little bit too soon, coming out of turn 11, around the back end of the car goes, and Andy Lee was just able to sneak past on the outside and still keep it on the racetrack. Did well there.
Yeah, you got to think Andy Lee kind of maybe had his heart rate jump up about 30 beats in half of a second there.
I'll say.
Here is the man, Michael Cooper, 2:33.258 last time by. Half an hour remaining still in this session, a little over 31 minutes. Still a long way to go, not even to halfway yet.
Very interesting this year that Chevy GM has been pushing this Z28 body kit to be put on the car. It's also using a lot more stock components they have in the past. So it's very interesting technology that has been developed for the road these days from what has been developed on the racetrack. But both the 19-inch wheels, you don't often see those on racing cars, and they're on that Chevy Camaro this year, as well as those road-going brakes and that 7-litre LS5 engine. Ooh, there goes Jack Baldwin for a spin. Got
a replay here of that Reset MD Porsche Cayman. Needs a quick reset. Oh no, he's gonna hit. Oh, Jisk. Oh, gets back into the back of the wall, and there's no grip there when you hit the brakes. Jack Baldwin's looking for a reset to get back in the track now, unfortunately, but just a terrible weekend for that GTS Sport team with Jack Baldwin. Oh, just heartbreaking with one of our championship contenders. He's going to have to play catch-up, and unfortunately, if that happens at the first race of the year, you are playing that catch-up game all season long.
You are indeed, and he has been just had a dire weekend. They changed the transmission overnight, and they had a fuel system problem yesterday as well, but you know, they were hoping everything was going to be okay for the race, but it's clearly not, because it's not made much progress at all.
Getting word from pit lane that Chris Wilson is struggling with the setup on his car. The rain setup there, they must have just missed it just a little bit there, unfortunately. And also got word that Kurt Resitano has the tie rod problems. The steering wheel is kind of crooked on his car from contact with a few cars a little earlier in the race.
Yeah. Don't think we should probably be too surprised by that, because it was pretty hot and heavy in the early stage of this race. But it was Chris Wilson told me off just as he was on the grid that the car was a real handful this morning in the wet conditions, and they tried to make some changes for the race, but clearly not working to his favor. The car is staggeringly quick in the dry around here, but not yet in the rain.
Slow there with Lou Gelati in the LG Motorsports Aston Martin Vantage GT4.
Whether that's more transmission problems. He was having problems on the first day, and oh no, it's not.
Left side, looks like he broke a tie rod end as well. You see the curbs, you see that right there, there's like some, there's Jack Baldwin missing his rear wing. Oh, and there's the rear wing on the course as well. To put the service flag out there, these SCCA volunteer course workers here will put the debris flags, so folks will see the debris. That was just a result of that contact that he had, knocking that wing off. Very unfortunate, but those yellow, they have yellow curbings further in than the black or white and red gator stripes that you normally see, that we call them the gators, on these exits of these curbings. If you hit one of those yellow bumps, there is a significant, they're about 8 to 10 inches high in some places. You just knock that tie rod and break it right loose.
Yeah. And yesterday, Lou Gelati had some problems with the car jumping out of gear on him. So I wonder whether that was the reason for him going slow there. But as soon as we saw the left-hand side of the car, we could see no, that wasn't the case. And there is some sort of a failure on the left front suspension, as you suggest, perhaps a tie rod failure.
And there's a good shot of the lead that Michael Cooper has over Andrew Aquilante. Aquilante's lead over Dean Martin, and Blaine Klukas is slowly closing the gap. He was 1 second away this last time by, and he's picking up about 0.2 of a second per lap, trying to run down Dean Martin for that final podium spot.
Yeah, behind Dean Martin and Ben Klukas. It's still Jack Roush Jr. doing a nice job there in 5th place, having started down in the 10th position. So he's made some very good progress in this race. Kurt Resitano in 6th place with that slightly deranged suspension on number 37 Calvert Dynamics Phoenix Performance Ford Mustang. And Mark Wilkins hanging on there in 7th place. Whether he's got some problems with that car, we're not quite sure. He certainly had them yesterday, but they changed that shock overnight and it seemed to be fine. Chris Wilson, though, he slipped all the way down to 8th place in the pole sitting car, and his teammate Derek DeBoer is closing in behind him in the 9th and bringing Andy Lee, and then Tony Gaples is 11th after that spin.
And there's that battle we were talking about heating up with Dean Martin in the picture cars, East Mohegan Racing Ford Mustang Boss 302 versus the Kia Motors America Kia Optima of Ben Klukas. Almost just less than a car length now separate these two drivers. Ben Klukas in 4th place, wants to get up on the podium. He's making his debut weekend here in the Pirreli World Challenge with that Kinetic Motorsports team and Kia Motors North America. It's going to be an interesting to see how this plays out. Front wheel drive 2.0 liter turbocharged engine in the Optima versus the V8 monster 302 cubic inch Ford Mustang rear wheel drive. You're looking at the times there. Ben Klukas at a 2:33.863, matching the lap times now with your leader Michael Cooper. So one of the fastest cars on the racetrack at this time.
Yeah, and there's certainly the front wheel drive Kia Optima Turbo with the engine over the driven wheels. That'll help with traction out of the corners certainly. But you'd think that Ben Klukas from England would have a lot of wet weather experience. Well, in actual fact, he doesn't. He's done a lot of racing overseas. He was in Australia for several years, won the F3 Championship down there in Australia. Also has been racing for much of the last several years in Southern Europe, particularly in Spain, and where they don't have an awful lot of wet weather racing down there. So he had his eyes opened a little bit this morning in that warm-up session. The first car he's driven this car in the rain, but making a good fist of it in this race this morning.
Well, I got to think that Black Dog Speed Shop Ram has got to just grab his notebook, maybe fold over the corner of that notebook for the settings they put here on Michael Cooper and say, you know what, we're going to remember this setup. That's a pretty good rain setup, and go back to that if we see the weather like we saw in the 2014 season with the Pirreli World Challenge. The Black Dog Speed Shop, Michael Cooper, could be the guy to watch here this season.
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, really showing his ability here. As we see Kurt Resitano using every inch of the curbs on the inside there through turn 8 and 9. And he's still hanging on ahead of Mark Wilkins. Mark Wilkins last time around was a 2 minutes 34.1, which is similar pace. Now, all of the top 10 cars are running a similar pace right now, so the pace has kind of settled down, and Michael Cooper way out in front.
And Glenn Klukas going into turn 11 gets around Dean Martin going down that straightaway, though. Who's got the horsepower and the braking down into turn number 12? Dean Martin, I know, does not want to give up that position, but Ben Klukas up to 3rd place in that Kia Motors America Kia Optima.
Very nice drive there by Ben Klukas to be in a potential podium position. First time out with his team, I'm sure is more than he expected. He's now trying to get the power down coming through that infield section of the racetrack, and he's under pressure with Dean Martin absolutely alongside him, but on the outside line.
Yeah, back to the inside, the over-under for Dean Martin. Side by side here, Ben Klukas does hold him out there, make him hit that debris, but just clears it. Good run from them. You see in the back bumper of that Kia Optima, it says, thanks KMMG team members. And this Kia Optima built in Atlanta, Georgia, factory just outside of that is a manufacturing plant. A lot of the components for that Kia Optima built right here and sourced through America. So Kia really stepping up the program both for American workers and American industry, and now the racing program with the 2014 Manufacturers Championship.
Absolutely right. And then the race cars put together and run out of a shop at Road Atlanta as well, just outside of on the north side of Atlanta. So yeah, very much an American product there in those number 36 and number 38 Kia Optimas, and they've both been driven very, very nicely this morning in these very treacherous conditions. Michael Cooper just kind of pacing himself now at the front of the field, and maintaining that gap. It's around about a dozen seconds he has over Andrew Aquilante, and Aquilante is about 4 seconds now over Ben Klukas, and we'll see whether Ben Klukas, having got past Dean Martin, see whether they can make any inroads into the deficit to Andrew Aquilante. Currently, it stands at about 4 seconds.
Yeah, watching the live Twitter feed going on, seeing a lot of people that are watching all around the world. Dion Van Molke, just got a word from him saying, hey, watching live, love the action, great to hear. And also, I got to give a good shout out to my 10-year-old daughter, Gabby. She's listening live in California, watching all the action here at Pirreli World Challenge. And we nicknamed her Gabby because that's how she talks. So hopefully she'll take over from her dad, and hopefully people don't think I'm Gabby. But hey, there we go. It's my daughter that's the Gabby one, not me.
Well, hopefully the weather's a bit better where she is.
Yeah, we hope so, but I don't think Michael Cooper cares much about that. Leading in that Black Dog Speed Shop Chevy Camaro. Coming down here into turn number 11. There's Buzz McCall starting to catch the backside of this field. Andrew Aquilante, he's way off to the driver's left over there. Same with Ben Klukas and Dean Martin. I see a lot of guys searching for rain now. Maybe these rain tires are starting to heat up a little bit when you get down on this dry line.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good point because you can see there's not an awful lot of spray thrown up from the cars. I mean, there's some, but not an awful lot. So the track's not that wet. Before the start of the race, conditions were not too bad. It was a very, very, very light drizzle, so really not much more precipitation coming down. So these Pirreli P0 wet tires, they pump a lot of water out of the way, so the track, even this morning in the warm-up when it was raining somewhat harder than it was now, the drivers were saying even in that 10-15 minutes there was a dry line beginning to emerge on the racetrack.
Getting word that Lou Gelati, where they had that problem there on the left side. There's Jack Baldwin's Porsche Cayman. No wing on the back of that Reset MD Porsche Cayman now. We saw that wing sit there on the race. It's still around. I mean, I think the cool down lap, pull up, open the door, grab it, and bring it back to pits.
Yeah.
A good shot there of that Reset MD Porsche Cayman Jack Baldwin. You see his gloves in the car struggling a little bit. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with the action here for the Nissan Grand Prix of Houston presented by Motul at Circuit of the Americas.
Today's coverage of the Pirreli World Challenge Championships is being brought to you by Nissan, innovation that excites, by Motul, official lubricants of the Pirreli World Challenge, and by the Kia Optima, not your average midsize sedan.
Now's the time, no delay. Gotta get going now, there's no more time to waste. More speed, less haste. 100 miles of running, never touch the brakes. See that counting, we can't let them wait. Never late, cause it's time. Gotta move quick, gotta move faster. Wanna speed up, gotta move faster. Time is time, it has no master.
On society really came about because not because I was selfish and wanted one for myself, which I did. It's because I had a passion my whole life. I wanted to teach myself to build computers. I wanted to build these things for free. I just wanted to do it for the world. And when you want something, that's what you do the best.
And welcome back to our continuing coverage at world-challengetv.com to our web viewers worldwide. The online stream coverage here brought to you by Ford. We appreciate what Ford does for the series. And the top Ford right now sitting back in 4th and 5th and 6th place with Dean Martin, Jack Rouse, and Kurt Rezatano. Now's your chance, folks. If you're listening worldwide on the web, grab your cell phone and text the word COTA, C-O-T-A, for Circuit of the Americas to 313131 for your chance to win a free Replay XD Prime X camera. You can win that camera. Just text the word COTA to 313131.
Good battle we're watching here on screen with Andy Lee having just found a way past the pole-sitting Aston Martin V8 of Chris Wilson. Chris Wilson, he was struggling in the warm-up. He's struggling even more, it seems, in the race now. His best lap time. Oh no, a problem for Andy Lee. He's just suddenly slowed up.
Yeah, it looks like the car lost power. The lights went off, and you see the lights dimming there. He's trying to fire it up, trying to lost some. There he goes. He gets it back underway. Man, major problems. I saw a big puff of black smoke out there when we first just came back from commercial, and not sure what the problems are with Andy Lee, but oh, that's got to be so frustrating. I'm really thinking that development and the build of his new Camaro Z28 that's taking place at 3R Racing might get the acceleration fast forward here at for have that car at St. Petersburg, Florida. Here's Michael Cooper. His last lap by was a 2:33.932. Ben Klukas, the fastest race lap so far, just that last time by at a 2:32.809. Unfortunately, he's got a 26-second gap to try to close into Michael Cooper. Now with 17 minutes to go.
Yeah, it's 14 seconds. There's a bit over 12 seconds between first and second, and then a couple and a half seconds now. So Klukas is certainly closing in on the second place car of Andrew Aquilani. We can see them on screen here, the gap between second and third on the racetrack. And this has been a fine drive by Ben Klukas, as you said, another fastest lap that time around. And Dean Martin is just kind of almost within the screenshot there as they're coming on to the straightaway here. He's just turned his best lap of the race, Dean Martin, in a fourth place car, number 50, at 1:33.1. It's actually quicker than our race leader has managed in this race. Michael Cooper, he doesn't need to go that fast at this stage. It would be nice to get an extra bonus point though, because he's off the fastest lap of the race. But Michael Cooper is on course to win the race, which is worth 140 championship points, and also get the bonus 4 points for leading most laps in this motor race.
Yeah, you can really see a distinct sort of line going through there where the cars are on the racing line. There's a different color, so there's no shiny parts of the water, so these lap times are starting to drop by. We had Mark Clennon set his best lap last time by, as well as Derek DeBoer and Dean Martin. So Ben Klukas, you mentioned that before, was their fastest lap as well. So it's definitely improving on the track conditions here with no more rain coming down. So it's a long gap he's got to make up with 16 minutes to go in this race. But the magical of the yellow flag could change everything. I don't want to jinx anything, but you could have almost a lap gap and the yellow flag could come out.
Certainly the conditions are getting a little bit better now. As we see Jack Baldwin is already one lap down, but he is still running in 15th place as the second place car of Andrew Aquilani turns into turn one. And right behind him now is Ben Klukas. That gap down to 1.2 seconds. So on the last lap around, almost a second gained by Ben Klukas in that red and white Kia Optima, car number 36, on that black and yellow Ford Mustang of Andrew Aquilani.
Jack Baldwin does a good job, knows the leaders are coming through, pulls over to the side. That's just got to eat him alive to know that that's going on right now with that Porsche Cayman, the Reset MD sponsored car.
Yeah, problems from the beginning, and then without a rear wing as well, no rear grip on that car at all. It would be really sketchy to drive. Look at this, so Ben Klukas just closing inexorably, it would appear, on that Mustang. The Mustang sliding around using all of the racetrack, and Ben Klukas, a really nice tidy line there out of turns 8 and 9 and coming into the corner that leads onto the front straightaway. We've seen him make a pass here earlier in the race. He looks to do the same again.
Yeah, goes right down to the inside of Andrew Aquilani and made that pass clean down into turn number 11. Now the drag race down the straightaway. This Kia Motors Optima, oh, and I'm not sure what happened there, but boy, Andrew Aquilani just put his foot down on the pedal, drives right around that Kia Optima.
Yeah, that was interesting, wasn't it? Because it was again a textbook pass there by Ben Klukas.
I wonder,
getting used to this front-wheel drive car very, very quickly.
Yeah, I wonder if he possibly cut one of those corners a little previous and got a good run on Andrew Aquilani, decided to go ahead and give that spot back. Brian Sill, they said that, if you know that you do something and you violate it, if you give that spot back and improve your position, there will be no penalty. And it kind of looked like that. Ben Klukas just sort of rolled out of the throttle a little bit, let Aquilani go right back by.
It looked something like that. We certainly didn't see anything from our vantage point, from our screen here, but he's now beginning to put the pressure on again. Here's Ben Klukas. He knows now that he has the pace to get past Andrew Aquilani, and still 14 minutes to go in this 50-minute race. So plenty of time to get that job done. Track, it certainly is drying out. We've seen several drivers, or many of the drivers, setting their fastest laps of the race at this stage in the proceedings. But certainly Ben Klukas has his eyes set on second place. I think the victory is going to be out of the grasp of that little Kia Optima, but certainly second place very much within it.
Yeah, Dean Martin and Jack Roush both set their best lap. Nick is saying up to 11th now. Great run for him. We haven't been able to speak too much of that Travel Clean Speed 34 Capaldi Racing for Mustang. Here's Klukas back to the inside again over Aquilani, down in that zone, just turns the wheel all the way sharp down to the inside, coming down the hill into turn number 1. Can he make it stick as Aquilani is going to hold it to the outside? I think that if it was rain and it was wet across the whole track, Aquilante could have did that. But with that dry line now, Ben Klukas had more grip.
Yes, he did, and the tighter line on the right-hand side of the racetrack, going to the right-hander at turn 2. So great pass again by Ben Klukas. And Aquilante pushed down to 3rd place now, and in 4th place, Dean Martin's hanging in there, and Jack Roush Jr. also in 5th, and 2 other Mustangs there in 4th and 5th places. Car numbers 50 and 60 as they go through the S's.
Yeah, we were just talking about Nick Hassan setting his best time at a 2:39.201. You mentioned that before, Jeremy. Problems all weekend long for a 2-time Pirreli World Challenge winner, one at Miller Motorsports Park last year and then Aston Martin. But this is the 3rd different car he's been in. He started off with the Acura TSX when that program ended in the GTS category, and real-time racing went to the GT class. He ended up in an Aston Martin here last year, and had some great success, ended up winning a race, and now he's back in a Ford Mustang this weekend. So it's got to be tough to adapt to 3 different cars in 3 different years.
Yeah, certainly, and a lot of problems yesterday for Nick, particularly in the braking department on that car. He was just not happy with the brakes at all, but turning some good laps now and getting to grips with it, and up into the 11th place. So that, I spoke to him this morning, and he was saying, his goal for the weekend, they know they're behind where they need to be with that car, but just get as many points on the board as they can for this weekend. That's exactly what he's doing there, and running well in 11th place.
Interesting to see that. Michael Cooper goes to the left side of Jack Baldwin's wing. Really made that thing wide there, but you can really see, Michael Cooper sliding all over the place, and Ben Klukas is on a tear right now. You look at his lap time, see his last time by, he was about 0.2 of a second slower than Cooper was, but the time before that he was 2 seconds faster than Klukas now that he's got clear of Andrew Aquilante. Time is running out, however, 11 minutes to go in this race, 12-second gap. He has to pick up over a second a lap here in the remaining standings. Yeah, way more than that, because we're not 11 laps going. So in 11 minutes, he needs a second per minute to go.
Yeah, I reckon maybe 4 laps to go in this race at this stage. So I don't think Ben Klukas is going to have enough time. But that's interesting there to see him coming along the front straightaway. They pulls over close to the pit wall where the cars are not running, so there's a bit more standing water there. He can help to cool those tyres down a little bit on that straightaway as he on the drag race up to turn 1.
Yeah, 1.1 seconds faster that last time by. The lap is 11.8 seconds is the gap. 10.5 minutes to go. Andrew Aquilante does not want to give up. Dean Martin still back there as well. One slip up or one little mistake from any of these guys, and there's guys in line ready to pounce as Kurt Rezzitano and Jack Roush. 5th for Roush and 6th for Rezzitano.
Yeah, so the Mustang's certainly looking good in this race. In terms of finishing in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th and 6th, they are places right now. But it's a Chevy out front and a Kia Opta in 2nd place, and that's the guy we're watching, keeping our eyes on, is Ben Klukas. As he comes through turn 10, he can just ahead of him now see Michael Cooper turning into turn 11 to get himself on the front straightaway.
That's also like that there's the rabbit. Go get it. Once you can see him, then you start trying to run him down.
That's right. And Ben Klukas, he's got a lot of things to concentrate on. He's got to make sure he keeps his car on the racetrack, but also he's working very hard also to keep those tyres as cool as they possibly can, not overwork them. We believe that Michael Cooper might have burned off his tyres a little bit more and is struggling with the handling at this stage, but certainly Ben Klukas is turning some very fast laps, regularly in the 33s. Best lap was a 2 minutes 32.2. That is the fastest lap of the race by some margin. But last time round was a 33.7 for Ben Klukas. That was, of course, on the lap on which he made that pass for 2nd place.
Here's your battle for 10th against Chris Wilson and Andy Lee. Sorry, battle for 9th, I believe. Chris Wilson is in 9th, Andy Lee in 10th. Derek DeBoer, that was pretty close to Chris Wilson, and then sort of just started checking out a little bit and pulled away from this group. But Andy Lee, that car said he felt like it was low on horsepower, and you see Chris Wilson accelerate down that straightaway. We'll see if Andy Lee can catch him back here in the tight portions of the course. Had that car where he stopped on the track, had to reset the computer, get it started again, I believe, for Andy Lee. Had an unfortunate motor problem there yesterday and got it replaced. A good job from that Best IT crew, working hard on both cars. They got Andy Lee and his teammate Jeff Reeves, who's in 13th. Having a great run is Jeff Reeves in that Shadowworks Camaro. I haven't spoken much of him, but doing a great job staying out of trouble and running his race up to 13th for Jeff Reeves.
Yeah, they had all sorts of problems yesterday. Clutch failure it was, I believe, on Jeff Reeves' car yesterday. So he's done, again, that crew has worked awfully hard, haven't they, overnight to get both of those cars back together again and running both well in this race.
So the gap now is 10.2 seconds against Klukas and Michael Cooper. 8 minutes to go, almost on the dot for 8 more minutes for Klukas to run him down. He was 1.7 seconds quicker that last lap by. Just don't think there's enough time not only to catch him, but then, passing is a whole different story from catching somebody.
Yeah, it is indeed. And Michael Cooper doesn't have a massive amount of experience in the Pirelli World Challenge. He's only had 26 starts, which is amazing because he's already got a championship under his belt in 2012, and that was the last time. It was in 2013 he did some races as well. That was when his last victory was. That was a total of 6 races ago in his Pirelli World Challenge career, but 3 years, or 2 years I should say. But it's been a great drive by Michael Cooper. He's got enough experience to be able to manage himself now, manage the car, make sure he just keeps it on the island. That is his main focus now. He's not looking for outright speed, just making sure he doesn't make any mistakes.
And there is the gap. You can see 1 through 5 with Jack Roush back in 5th place in that Roush Performance Ford Mustang. So that's the 1st through 5th down that long straightaway here at Circuit of the Americas. We'll wait till they come back around to see what the gap is. 6.5 minutes to go in this race. It still is Michael Cooper in the Black Dog Speed Shop Chevy Camaro in first. Ben Klukas in that Kia Motors America Kia Optima. Andrew Alcalante, the Calvert Dynamics Phoenix Performance Ford Mustang Boss 302. And Dean Martin in the Picture Cars East Rahegan Racing Ford Mustang in 4th. Jack Roush Jr., the Roush Performance Ford Mustang in 5th. Your top 5 in their GTS category, all part of the Nissan Grand Prix of Texas, brought to you by Motul here at Circuit of the Americas. What a great event it's been so far, Jeremy. And don't forget, folks, when you're watching live at WorldChallengeTV.com, there's still 2 more races going on. We have our GT, GTA, and GT Cup presented by Momo. That's all coming up at 1:25 Central Time, scheduled to start again for our pre-race activities for that race. So a lot of action going on here this weekend.
Yeah, there is indeed. Just having a quick glance here at the sort of kind of provisional championship points as they stand. Chris Wilson with that victory yesterday. He's currently running in the 9th position. That would be enough to maintain the championship lead. Lee Gilotti is still staggering around there with kind of 3 wheels on his wagon and one pointing completely the wrong direction.
They had that car down in pits, and we're looking at that left front, and looks like they repaired something, but that problem broke again, so there's something wrong with there. Ben Klukas, 2.2 seconds quicker last time by. 5.5 minutes remaining. 8.1 seconds is the gap.
Tantalizingly close he's getting now, but 8 seconds and, as you say, 5 minutes to go. So a couple of laps to go in the race. And Andrew Aquilani is hanging on there in 3rd place, but Dean Martin now is beginning to put the pressure on Andrew Aquilani. That battle continuing from yesterday. They had a great scrap yesterday and continuing it in very different conditions this morning.
Yeah, I got to think, Michael Cooper is going, oh, come on, please white flag, please white flag, please white flag. Ben Klukas is going, oh, come on, man, just 10 more minutes, just 10 more minutes, let's get this happening.
Yeah, let's make this, stretch the distance a little bit more for Ben Klukas. Coming onto the straightaway here and pulling away again down the straightaway is the Chevrolet of Michael Cooper. It's a pretty handy advantage. He will see Ben Klukas in the mirrors. He'll also have his team on the radio telling him exactly what the situation is and kind of coaching him home, if you like.
Yeah, he's way sideways there. He really, probably running out of tire a little bit, really was pushing it there in the early ring, build that gap up. 4 minutes, he's got to just hang on here for probably 2 more times. He's going to go by this time, and maybe next time by will be the white flag. Not this time, but 1 more lap after this. So 3 complete laps does Cooper have to do here before he can get that win. Way sideways getting out of there. The best thing that Black Dog Speed Shop crew can get on is radio that gentleman and tell him, hey, just take it easy. You still have an 8-second gap. Just back it off a little bit. And Dean Martin starting to battle Andrew Alcalante a little bit here in the closing stages for that final podium spot.
That's exactly right. That battle was on yesterday. It's on again today now. Completely different conditions, but those 2 Mustangs still tied together. The black and yellow car, and the white car behind him is Dean Martin, and it's Dean Martin currently in 4th place, and he wants that 3rd place that Andrew Aquilani had. Yesterday they finished in the 2nd and 3rd positions. Aquilani ahead of Martin, so Dean Martin would very much like to redress the balance in these conditions, but he's got probably a couple of laps to do that.
6.8 seconds is the gap that time by with Klukas and Michael Cooper. a 1.3 second advantage for Ben Klukas in lap times. He did a 2:33.5 for Klukas and a 2:34.8 for Cooper. Cooper turned the wick up just a little bit compared to last lap, but time is running out. 3 minutes to go in this race.
Yeah, nice and consistent the last 4 laps by our race leader Michael Cooper. 2 minutes 34.8, 2 minutes 34.8, 2 minutes 35 dead, and 2 minutes 34.8. That's very nice driving in these very difficult conditions.
Yeah, the best battle on the track right now is this battle between Andrew Aquilante and Dean Martin. Going back to our leader, Michael Cooper, in that Black Dog Speed Shop Team Chevy Camaro. The Camaro Z28, this would be the first win, I believe, in road racing for the Z28, the new style Z28, obviously, in Pirreli World Challenge.
And I believe in road racing.
See, good shot there of Ben Klukas. That was the car that Nick Janssen campaigned last year, one of the team owners there at Kinetic Motorsports. Did a lot of development on the Kia Forte Coupes as well, did Nick Janssen, and we'll see a little bit later in touring class with Chris Wright, Samantha Tan, and your 2014 champion, Jason Wolf. So stick around on World Challenge TV for .com a little bit later for the TC race.
It's going to be a fun race. It was a fun race yesterday afternoon, wasn't there? All sorts of battling going on there and some really interesting drives. But I'll focus now on the GTS cars with time running down here. I'm pretty sure they're going to get, well, they will get the white flag this time around. And then we'll just have 3.4 miles to go to the finish line. And that's certainly more than enough for Michael Cooper, but not quite enough, I think, for Ben Klukas. He'd much rather have another couple of laps after that. Don't think he's going to get them.
It was interesting to hear Dean Martin talk in the press conference about Gino Lucci from the Pitcher Cars East was not able to be here this weekend. So, Gino, if you're listening, and I'm sure you are, watching your man getting it done here, trying to get that final podium spot. We miss you, buddy. Get back out to a racetrack. Hopefully we'll see you at St. Petersburg. But Andrew Aquilante and Dean Martin battling for that final podium. Cars coming down. Michael Cooper, four-wheel drift all the way out to the outside edge. White flag, 1 lap to go for Michael Cooper and Ben Klukas. You see the gap there. Just running out of time is Dean Martin down to the inside of Andrew Aquilante coming on to the front stretch here out of turn number 20.
And there's Jack Roush right with him as well. So they've got a 3-car battle now there among the Mustangs for the final podium position going into the final lap here at Circuit of the Americas.
Yeah, Jack Roush Jr. just sets the best time that he's had, 2:32.666. He's faster than these two guys in front of him by over 2 seconds. Yeah. He is on a tear here with 1 lap to go. Who's it going to be in the podium? It's a battle of the Mustangs on here for third.
Yeah, all of a sudden there, Jack Roush Jr. found an immense amount of time, not quite enough to get away the fastest lap of the race, I believe. That would still go to Ben Klukas at championship point, but there was a great lap last time around for Jack Roush Jr. But the early stages of this lap, they're sort of a third of the way around the lap, and he hasn't been able to sort of maintain that ability to close in on this battle ahead of him. There he is now. Look at that, right there on the tail of the two.
Yeah, Dean Martin had to really close in on Andrew Aquilante coming down through that corner. Aquilante gets down over that berm. Wow, they just still touching that curve way sideways. I thought he took a little too much of that berm, and you see him almost go 4 wheels off there in turn number 10.
Great battle this is, and that gap again in the lead between the top two came down by another 1.5 seconds last time around, but the gap was over 5 seconds going into this final lap. But this is what we're focusing on, this battle for second place coming down the straightaway now, and there's just 9 corners to go, and Andrew Aquilante's pulled out a good little lead actually coming onto the straightaway this time around.
There is the gap. Michael Cooper versus Ben Klukas has to hold it together for about 4 or 5 more turns. Andrew Aquilante, Dean Martin, and Jack Roush Jr. now nose to tail for the final battle for third. Andrew's trying just to hold it together. 1 more set of corners here. Come back around to the left, and then that long sweeping right-hand complex. The triple apex right-hander here down through turn 18, turn 19, and down into turn number 20. Back onto the front stretch.
Yeah, this closing up on the braking there at turn 12 was Jack Roush Jr. Really good on the brakes he was. And making the ground now. Then 2 corners to go for Michael Cooper.
Yeah, still waiting. Oh, and Andrew Alcalante got a little sideways there. And here comes Cooper. Goes down to the inside. Checkered flag. Race winner in the Nissan Grand Prix of Texas, brought to you by Motul, goes to Michael Cooper, and Dean Martin right behind Andrew Alcalante trying to get the run. There's Jack Roush Jr., but they're going to finish how they were running. Your top 5 in our GTS class. Winning goes to Michael Cooper, Ben Klukas in second, Andrew Alcalante third, Dean Martin in fourth, and Jack Roush Jr. in fifth. Wow, what a dominating run from Michael Cooper. Not sure what he's doing there. Turned the car over and turned it back around and parked it, so I'm not sure what issue he's having there in that Black Dog Speed Shop Camaro, but pulled over into the grass. Trying to do some victory donuts, make sure the track's clear. I mean, we'll see. He did a big burnout in his Mazda Speed 3. But I'm going to head on down and get a good chance to talk to our winner for our CBS Sports broadcast. You'll see this race live along with our GTS category on CBS Sportsnet March 14th at 11 p.m. Eastern to 11 a.m. Eastern. Tune in for that. Jeremy, I'm going to head down to Victory Circle. We'll see you next time for our GT race.
Yeah, later on this afternoon, that GT race will take place at 1:25 this afternoon. What a great performance that was by Michael Cooper. Started back in the 9th position on the grid, worked his way through into the lead on lap 2 and controlled the race from there. And by my unofficial reckoning, it will be Chris Wilson, who won yesterday's race, who will hold the championship lead in GTS after the first 2 rounds. 224 points, a 12-point margin over Michael Cooper, who finished 8th yesterday to cap off the weekend with a magnificent victory for that Black Dog Speed Shop Chevrolet team this morning in very difficult conditions. A tremendous run to second place today then for Ben Klukas in the Kia Optima. Third place for Andrew Alcalante. Fourth place, Dean Martin, and Jack Roush Jr. right behind him, the 3 Mustangs in third, fourth, and fifth. Mark Wilkins gets ahead of Kurt Resitano in the last couple of laps, comes home 6th in the second of the Kia Optimas. Derek de Boer, also an excellent drive in that Black Rider Racing Aston Martin Vantage GT4 car in the 09 car in 7th place. Kurt Resitano finishes in 8th. Chris Wilson really struggling in the wet, has to make do with the 9th place today for yesterday's race winner and this morning's pole sitter. And it's Andy Lee who rounds out the top 10 in car number 20 for Chevrolet. It's been a great run. I think it's a really exciting race that was, and there's a lot more action to come later on this afternoon. Stay with us. You can join us again on worldchallengetv.com.
Today's coverage of the Pirreli World Challenge Championships is being brought to you by Nissan, innovation that excites, by Motul, official lubricants of the Pirreli World Challenge, and by the Kia Optima, not your average midsize sedan.
Now's the time, no delay. Gotta get going now, there's no more time to waste. More speed, less haste. 100 miles I'm running, never touch the brakes. See that counting, we can't let them wait. Never late, cause it's time. Gotta move quick, gotta move faster. Wanna speed up, gotta move faster. Time is time, it has no master.
On society really came about because not because I was selfish and wanted one for myself, which I did. It's because I had a passion my whole life. I wanted to teach myself to build computers. I wanted to build these things for free. I just wanted to do it for the world. And you know, when you want something, that's what you do the best.